Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here, and in today's video we have my Game Week 20 team selection. Now before we start off with today's video, I do have to apologize for the lack of content over the past few game weeks, but it's simply because I am traveling. I'm still in the UK and I've been here for the New Year's and also since Boxing Day basically. So I'm on a bit of a holiday. I managed to catch the Liverpool-West Ham game, which I'll flash a couple of pictures on screen as well. But a big announcement that I wanted to share with you guys is that I appeared on the FPL Therapy podcast. I got invited by Ross to kind of have a chat and preview Game Week 20. So that was really exciting, and I am actually only just recording this video right after doing the podcast with Ross. So by the time you're watching this, the podcast would have already been released, so go on over to FPL Therapy and show Ross some love as well. I can see the effort that goes into making an FPL podcast and the consistency that he does with that as well, week in, week out, getting a new guest in. I can see the amount of work that goes into it, and it is a lot, trust me. So if you guys aren't subscribed to FPL Therapy yet, head on over to subscribe to FPL Therapy. And I'll also drop a link in the description for today's video for the podcast that should be out again by the time you're watching this video. So there we go with kind of announcements and also kind of breaking the ice for today's video. And let's start off with a review of Game Week 19. Now that has been quite a while ago now, so I'm just going to breeze through this section. And we'll start off in goal here. Verbruggen with 2 points. It is disappointing, but was I expecting too much from Verbruggen? Not really. So it's not a surprise that he didn't keep a clean sheet against Aston Villa. That was great as well because you see Rodgers here in my team, in my starting 11, got 11 points. So the only downside with that is Rodgers got a 5th yellow card, so he is now suspended, and I'll touch on that as we go into the Game Week 20 section. But speaking about the defenders first, Saliba and Gabriel got the clean sheet wiped out by Mbeumo. Robinson came away with an assist. I still like what Robinson offers a lot, and the best part of it is that now they are playing with a back 3. And basically Robinson and Castagna are operating somewhat like wing backs as well. So I think that's great for, his attacking threat moving forward. So I do like that I have Robinson in here. And in midfield I have Foden, 6 points, got an assist from a shot that was saved by the keeper and then put into the back of the net by Savinho. And then there's Salah, 32 points with the captaincy. The guy is absolutely inevitable. The guy is just so good. I managed to catch him real life. And to see him do what he does, he's just on a different level. He has now returned in almost every single game. I don't think he's blanked since Game Week 7 or Game Week 8. So it's a ridiculous run of returns. And also, he's now crossed the 200 point mark. So he's on course to actually smash his own record of being the highest point scorer for FPL. So it's insane. We'll see what he kind of achieves towards the end of the season. Palmer disappointing with a 2-pointer there. My kind of screen is covering the Palmer vice captaincy, but I think there were a couple of people who went with Palmer as the captain instead and Salah as the vice captain. For those people, I think the swing could have been a little bit less. I don't think it should have been as great as it was with what we saw this week. Like Salah 16 points, Palmer only 2 points. I think Palmer could have come away with the Ipswich game with more returns, but it is what it is. Up front, Isak, Jackson and Mateta. The only one getting returns was Isak. Mateta, I brought him in for João Pedro, and then João Pedro gets 2 assists from 0.12 XA. So it is what it is. It's been a trend this season where the player I transfer out does well. So hopefully moving forward we have less of that. But on the bench, Flecken 1-pointer. The good thing about the Brentford game at least was that we know now that Flecken is fit to continue playing. He came off with a muscle injury around the 30th minute in Game Week 18. That has since, I guess, not kept him out for that long, and he's back for Game Week 19 already. Played through the 90 minutes, and it should be fine for Game Week 20 as well. So that would save me a transfer, as I'll share with you guys later on as well. Lewis, 6 points first on my bench, is really the last player I want to mention. I was quite certain that Jackson was going to get benched for the game against Ipswich, but I did have a feeling that if he was benched, he probably wouldn't come on. But given the game state and how Chelsea were losing, maybe it made sense for Maresca to bring Jackson on. And in that case, maybe I should have factored that in as well, where Ipswich are a much better team than what we saw previously with Jackson when he was benched against Southampton, that he didn't come on at all. Right, so maybe a bit of misjudgment on my end, and I should have started Lewis instead. But to be fair, Lewis also got quite lucky with getting a clean sheet. Leicester did do quite well against City, creating a good number of chances. So overall, 71 points, not great. And this is a red arrow down to 229k in the world. So hopefully from Game Week 20 on, the team looks pretty decent. So from Game Week 20 onwards, hopefully we kick on. So let's now have a look at my Game Week 20 team. So for Game Week 20, this is the situation. I have 0.0 million in the bank. I have one free transfer, but I intend to roll this one free transfer and set up with a 4-3-3 formation. Now, if you look at my team, it pretty much sets itself. You look at my bench, Verbruggen, Arsenal at home, I'm always going to bench him and start Flecken against Southampton instead. Ahmad has Liverpool, Greaves has Fulham, and Rodgers is suspended. So benching all these players, the team pretty much picks itself. So Flecken in goal, Southampton away. It's come at a really good time that he's come back from injury, and I'm glad that the injury did not keep him out for very long. So this Southampton away game has come at a good time for him. He comes in for Verbruggen, and then he drops down to the bench next week when Verbruggen will have an easier fixture than Flecken. So the rotation again with Verbruggen and Flecken has been planned again since Game Week 6. It's worked out okay. I would have hoped that it worked out better. But yeah, we'll see what happens there. At least on paper, for Game Week 20, I have a fixture that is better than Arsenal at home for Verbruggen. So Southampton away for Flecken. In defence, it's Saliba, Robinson, Gabriel and Lewis. So the double Arsenal defence, Brighton away. I do think I'm still fine to start Arsenal defence. Over the past few game weeks, they've still conceded very, very low expected goals. And in terms of the last game that we just saw against Brentford, where you know that Brentford are a very decent attacking side, Arsenal kept them to 0.32 xg, which is a very, very low xg. And that's at the G-Tech as well. So it just goes to show how strong the Arsenal defence is. Granted, they conceded to the goal by Mbumo, but I do think the numbers wise it does show. So against Brighton, who aren't necessarily firing in terms of the attack, I do expect that Arsenal will be able to keep a clean sheet there. So Saliba and Gabriel, I'm happy enough to have both of them. I think soon enough I will look to sell Saliba to fund Trent, but we'll see what happens. I'm again not fussed or not in any rush to sell Saliba because I'm perfectly fine starting a strong defense, the best in the league arguably, for the next few as well. So it's Saliba and Gabriel here. Robinson against Ipswich at home, always going to start him. I think this is a decent enough fixture for him as well. As we mentioned, he's playing a wing back now, so the crosses that he puts in, I feel, are of greater quality than that of Castagna. So again, if it's between the two, I think quality-wise, I prefer Robinson. But then if you count the price difference, it's 0.8 now. I think if I was buying one, I probably wouldn't buy Robinson. I'd probably buy Castagna and take the cost saving. But having Robinson here, I think he's a fine hold for me, and I'm happy enough to have him. For Rico Lewis, West Ham at home, this is a fixture that, again, I'm not certain Rico Lewis will start because he's played quite a number of games. But the thing is, he's had 7 days of rest, a good week of rest, and hopefully he plays the West Ham game. The good thing is that Walker is not necessarily playing at a very high level right now. In fact, I think Walker is pretty much past his prime. So I do think Rico Lewis is still better for the City team, and he's able to invert as well, which is what Walker is not able to do. So I do think Lewis will continue to start, and I don't imagine that Pep will need to field Walker because West Ham don't necessarily have a lot of attacking threat to deal with, right? So playing Lewis is perfectly fine, and I do hope that that's what happens. West Ham at home is a great fixture for Lewis to keep a clean sheet there. In midfield, it's Foden, Salah captain, and then Palmer. Salah and Palmer going nowhere. Captaincy wise, I'm always going to put it on Salah, especially when it's at Anfield against Manchester United, who have just been defending so poorly. And then Foden here is going to be my differential. I'm very happy actually that I went with Foden because you look at this West Ham game as one where you think Man City are going to score quite a bit of goals. Not only that, I think people would be going more for someone like Gordon now and wouldn't be buying Foden. So that keeps his ownership quite low. And I do like that because I have quite high expectations or high hopes for Foden over the next 3 game weeks where City's fixtures are still pretty decent. Right, so Foden at home here, he's going to be my differential. But if I was buying one this week, I'd probably buy Gordon. And then up front, it's Isak, Jackson and Mateta. Isak playing at such a high level right now, Isak is just inevitable as well. You look at the numbers that Newcastle are putting up week in, week out. They score so many goals and create so much XG. Isak always in and around the box, involved in the attack, whether it's goals or assists, you back him to do well. And this Tottenham game is one where I see lots of goals. I do imagine that Tottenham will continue to play as they've been over the past few games that we've seen. Very, very high line, leaving lots of space at the back, going very attacking minded and less focused on the defense. And I think that would be dangerous because Newcastle are attacking so well right now. I fully expect Isak to get something. For Jackson here, it is interesting because people are mass selling Jackson. What I've seen this week is that Jackson has had a lot of transfers out, but I'm actually of the opinion that firstly the Chelsea attack is still good. You look at the chances that we created against Ipswich, I still do think like we are a good attack. We have been quite unlucky not to get more goals over the past few game weeks, and the fact is also that when Nkunku was playing, or when the kind of second string, some attackers that are maybe second team were fielded against Ipswich, we didn't kind of do as well. So I fully expect that with rotation out of the way and Chelsea really only playing one game per week for the next few game weeks in January, that Jackson will start every single game. He is firmly first choice, and I do think like against Crystal Palace he will start. He'll get 90 minutes. Hopefully he gets something. Mateta here, Chelsea at home, is maybe not the easiest fixture, but I also go so far as to say the Chelsea defense is merely a mid-table team right now. Like, I'm realistic with my team as well, and when I watch the Chelsea defense, it is quite suspect at times. So I do think like Mateta can benefit from that if there are a couple of slip-ups in defense, which we are definitely capable of, and he's on penalties as well. So Mateta here, Chelsea at home. The fixtures long-term are pretty good, so that was the thinking behind bringing in Mateta overall. So that's it with the GW20 team. I intend to roll the transfer, of course, barring any late injuries from press conferences, etc. But aside from any of these unforeseen circumstances, the plan is to roll, and then come game week 21, the team actually still looks pretty alright as well. So in terms of future transfer plans, I think for the next few, I'd be rolling. But the plan is to at least get Trent Alexander-Arnold in by the time Liverpool have their double, which we'll cover in later videos. But I'm sure by game week 24 to 25, I would want Trent in my team. Players that could give way is obviously either Saliba or Rico Lewis. And then I have Foden here, who after 3 game weeks, I think I'd be happy to sell, downgrade to someone like Gordon, if Newcastle is still firing very, very well. So if not, I think those are my kind of team selection for Game Week 20 and also a bit of transfer plans moving forward. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Again, I do apologize for the lack of content, but I promise you that I will be going back to Singapore after the Game Week 20 deadline. I'll be leaving London on Sunday, and I'll be back in Singapore on Monday night, and basically the content will be back to normal from then as well. So thank you for bearing with me. Again, because I didn't manage to catch you guys over the new year, I hope you guys had a great New Year celebration. I hope you have a great 2025 as well. May it be the best year for you guys. And if you haven't already, now that we're done with today's video, go ahead and check out FPL Therapy. Again, the link is in the description for today's pod that will be released at the same time as this video. If not, I'll catch you guys on the deadline stream. I will be waking up early, 7 AM UK time. So basically, I think that is about 3 to 4 PM Singapore time if you guys are watching from Asia. But if not, I'll catch you guys on the deadline stream as always, the early stream for Game Week 20. Bye-bye.